The message arrived while I was changing Mrs. Peterson's IV. "You need to see this," read Deborah's text, followed by a link. I ignored it, focusing on my patient's comfort, but the phone kept buzzing in my pocket like an angry hornet. "My name is Vivienne, and until yesterday, I was the head nurse at St. Michael's Hospital. 10 years of dedicated service, countless lives touched, and a reputation I'd built from scratch after losing my husband Brody. All of it shattered by a single social media post. "You're awfully quiet today," Mrs. Peterson said, her weathered hand touching mine. "Everything all right, dear?" I forced a smile. Just one of those days. I checked her vitals one last time before heading to the break room, where Deborah was waiting with coffee and a grim expression. "Have you seen it?" she asked. I pulled out my phone, clicked the link, and felt my world tilt sideways. The post was everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, local community forums, anonymous accounts sharing detailed allegations about me abusing my children, Kirk and Aurora. Stories of neglect, of drinking problems I never had, of violent outbursts that never happened. "This is insane," I whispered, scrolling through hundreds of comments. People I'd known for years were sharing it, adding their own speculations. "I don't understand. Kirk and Aurora are my whole world. How could anyone—" The break room door swung open. "Vivienne?" It was Dr. Marshall, his face ashen. "We need to talk." Deborah squeezed my shoulder as I followed him to his office. The walk felt like a death march. "I'm sorry," he said, sliding a letter across his desk. "With these allegations, we can't risk—" "They're lies." I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. "I'm a widow raising 2 kids alone. I work double shifts to give them everything. Ask anyone here. I've never missed a day, never made a mistake. It's not about your performance. The board is concerned about liability. Until this is cleared up, we have to terminate your employment." I grabbed the edge of his desk to steady myself. "My children need health insurance, their medications." "I'm truly sorry, Vivienne. Hospital policy is clear." That evening, I sat in my car outside Kirk's school, watching other parents collect their children. Normal people living normal lives. My phone kept lighting up with messages from concerned friends, asking if the rumors were true. Kirk's face lit up when he saw me. At 10, he was already so much like his father. Same gentle eyes, same quiet strength. "Mom, you're early." "Thought we'd pick up Aurora together, maybe grab some ice cream." He buckled his seatbelt, chattering about his day. I tried to focus on his words instead of the whispers I'd heard in the school parking lot, the way other parents pulled their children closer as we passed. At Aurora's elementary school, my 8-year-old princess was waiting with her teacher, Mrs. Collins. The look Mrs. Collins gave me made my stomach turn. "Mommy!" Aurora ran to me, backpack bouncing. "I got an A on my science project." I hugged her tight, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. "That's wonderful, baby." At the ice cream parlor, I watched them devour their sundaes, chocolate smeared on their faces. My phone buzzed again, another message, this time from an unknown number. "How dare you show your face in public? Everyone knows what you did." "Mom!" Kirk's voice snapped me back. "You're crying." I touched my cheek, surprised to find it wet. "Just happy tears, sweetheart. I'm so proud of both of you." That night, after tucking them in, I sat at my kitchen table with Deborah, papers spread everywhere. Bank statements, savings accounts, emergency funds. The numbers didn't add up. "You can stay with me while this blows over," Deborah offered. I shook my head. "I need to fight this. Someone is trying to destroy me, and I think I know who." "Who would do this to you?" I pulled up a familiar Facebook profile on my phone. My sister Melanie's page. Her latest post was a vague message about karma finally catching up to certain people. "Family," I said bitterly, "is supposed to be the one thing you can count on. But sometimes they're the ones who hurt you most." Deborah leaned forward. "What are you going to do?" I looked at the photos on my wall. Brody and me on our wedding day, Kirk's first steps, Aurora's dance recital. Everything I'd built, Everything I'd protected since Brody's death was under attack. I'm going to find out why my sister wants to destroy me, I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. And then I'm going to make sure she never hurts my family again. The clock struck midnight as Deborah left, promising to help however she could. In the quiet house, I could hear Kirk's soft snoring from upstairs. Tomorrow, I'd have to tell them Mommy wouldn't be going to work anymore. Tomorrow, I'd have to start fighting back. But tonight, I allowed myself one moment of weakness, one silent scream into my pillow, before wiping my eyes and starting to plan. Melanie had no idea what she'd started, or who she was really dealing with. The coffee shop where Melanie worked was busy when I walked in, my heart pounding against my ribs. She stood behind the counter, her perfectly styled hair and designer clothes a stark contrast to my wrinkled scrubs from yesterday, the last uniform I'd probably wear for a while. "Welcome to—" Her greeting died when she saw me. "Oh, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk. I'm working." She turned to make someone's latte, her shoulders tense. "Fine, I'll wait." I sat at the counter, directly in her line of sight. 2 hours, 3 cups of coffee, and dozens of dirty looks from her later. Her shift ended. "Stop stalking me," she snapped, untying her apron. I followed her into the back alley behind the shop. "Stalking? That's rich coming from someone who's been spreading lies about me online." "I don't know what you're talking about." But her hand trembled as she lit a cigarette. "Drop the act, Mel. I lost my job. Social services is investigating me. My kids are going to suffer because of what you did." She blew smoke in my direction. "Maybe you should have thought about that before." "Before what?" "Before you took everything." She threw her cigarette down. "You always were Mum's favorite, the perfect daughter, the successful nurse, the loving mother. Even after Brody died, you somehow kept it all together. Do you know how sick I am of hearing about Saint Vivienne? That's what this is about. Jealousy." A bitter laugh escaped her. "You have no idea what it's like living in your shadow. Mum never shut up about you, even after you stopped talking to her. Why can't you be more like your sister? Vivienne would have handled this better. So you tried to destroy my life, my children's lives. They're fine. They have you, don't they? Perfect mom, perfect life." I grabbed her arm as she tried to walk past me. "Take it back. Tell everyone you lied." "Or what?" She jerked away. "You'll hit me? Prove the rumors true?" "I want to understand why you hate me so much. We used to be close, Mel. Remember when we'd hide in the treehouse during Mom's fights with Dad? When you'd crawl into my bed during thunderstorms?" Something flickered in her eyes. Pain, maybe regret, but it vanished quickly. "That was before." "Before what?" "Before I realized you abandoned me too. Just like Dad, just like everyone else. You got married, had your perfect family, and forgot all about me." "That's not true. I invited you to everything. Holidays, birthdays. You never showed up." "Because I couldn't stand watching you live the life I wanted." Her voice cracked. "The husband, the kids, the career. Everything comes so easy to you." I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "Easy? I worked 3 jobs to put myself through nursing school. I raised 2 kids alone after watching my husband die of cancer. Nothing about my life has been easy." "At least you had a life to build. I'm 30 years old, working in a coffee shop, living in a cramped apartment, and—" She stopped abruptly, pressing her lips together. "And what?" "Nothing. Just leave me alone." As she turned away, I noticed something I hadn't before, the medical alert bracelet on her wrist. She tried to hide it, but I caught a glimpse of the text, "Chronic kidney disease." "Mel, are you sick? Get out of my way." She pushed past me, but I saw the tears in her eyes. I went home and spent hours researching, piecing together clues from her social media. Doctor appointments she'd vaguely mentioned, complaints about fatigue. A GoFundMe page quickly taken down. Deborah called around midnight. "Any luck with your sister?" "She's sick, Deb. Really sick. And instead of helping her, I'm plotting revenge." "She's trying to take your kids away, Viv. Being sick doesn't excuse that." My doorbell rang. making me jump. Through the peephole, I saw Roberto from social services, looking apologetic even at this late hour. "Ms. Vivienne, I'm sorry to disturb you, but we received another report. I need to speak with Kirk and Aurora." My hands shook as I opened the door. "At midnight?" The report suggested immediate danger. He glanced at his tablet. "Something about prescription drug abuse?" Fresh rage coursed through me. Melanie knew about Brody's leftover pain medications, which I'd properly disposed of years ago. She was escalating. "My children are asleep," I said firmly. "Come back tomorrow with a warrant." After he left, I called my lawyer, Luca. His sleepy voice turned alert as I explained the situation. "Don't let them in without me present," he advised. "And Vivienne, document everything. We're going to need it." I hung up and stared at Melanie's Facebook page again. Behind the perfectly filtered photos and casual cruelty, my little sister was dying, but she'd chosen to spend what might be her final months trying to destroy me. "Game on, Mel," I whispered to the screen. "You want to play dirty?" I learned from the best, our mother. The hospital's records department was eerily quiet at this hour. Deborah's badge got us in, one of the perks of having a friend who still worked here. My hands trembled as I logged into the system using my old credentials, which thankfully hadn't been deactivated yet. "Are you sure about this?" Deborah whispered, keeping watch at the door. "If we get caught..." "5 minutes." I typed Melanie's name into the search bar. "I just need to know what we're dealing with." The records loaded and my breath caught. Stage 4 kidney disease. Multiple hospitalizations in the past year. Dialysis 3 times a week. A rejected transplant application due to lack of family support. "Oh, Mel," I whispered, scanning the notes. "Why didn't you tell me?" A noise in the hallway made us freeze. Deborah peeked out. "Security's making rounds. We need to go." I quickly printed the relevant pages and logged out. We slipped through the back exit, just as flashlight beams swept the corridor behind us. In my car, I studied the papers. She needs a kidney donor. That's why she's so angry. She thinks I abandoned her when she needed me most. "You didn't know," Deborah said softly. "But Mom did." The realization hit like a punch to the gut. She's known all along. I drove to Melanie's apartment, the medical records burning a hole in my bag. The lights were on despite the late hour. When she opened the door, her face was pale and drawn. How had I not noticed before? "What part of 'leave me alone' didn't you understand?" I held up the records. "Were you ever going to tell me?" Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "You had no right." "I'm your sister," my voice cracked. "I'm a match for donation, I know I am. We could have..." "Could have what? Played happy families? You made your choice years ago." "When? When did I choose anything except trying to survive?" She leaned against the doorframe, suddenly looking exhausted. "The day Mom called about my diagnosis. She said she tried to reach you, but you wouldn't come." "What?" I stepped closer. "Mom never called me about anything." The last time we spoke was at Dad's funeral. Confusion flickered across Melanie's face. "But she said..." "She showed me the text where you said you were too busy with your perfect life to deal with family drama." I pulled out my phone, scrolling through years of messages. "I never got any text from her. Look." Melanie took my phone, her hands shaking. "She lied, but why would she..." "Because that's what Mom does. She plays us against each other. Always has." She sank onto her couch and I noticed the dialysis equipment in the corner, the pill bottles on the coffee table. "I'm so tired, Viv. Of everything. Let me help you, please." "Why would you even want to? After what I did?" "Because you're my sister, and because I understand now. Mom manipulated both of us. She knew you were sick, knew I could help, and deliberately kept us apart." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I was so angry, watching your perfect life on Facebook while mine fell apart. When Mum suggested I expose your true nature, it felt like justice." "Mum suggested the posts?" She nodded. "She helped write them. Said it would force you to notice me finally." My phone buzzed. A text from Roberto. "Home visit tomorrow at 9 a.m. Bring your lawyer." They're coming to evaluate me tomorrow, I said. Because of your posts, I might lose my children. Melanie's face crumpled. I'm sorry, I'll tell them the truth. It's not that simple anymore. The damage is done, my job, my reputation. I'll fix it, I promise. She grabbed her phone, hands trembling. I'll post right now that I lied. Wait, I caught her wrist. Mom needs to answer for this too. She used your illness to manipulate you into destroying my life. Why? The transplant program, Melanie whispered. They wanted a family member to be the primary caregiver during recovery. Mom refused, said she was too old. If you had been there, she kept us apart so she wouldn't have to take responsibility. Anger burned in my chest and nearly destroyed both our lives in the process. A coughing fit seized Melanie, and I instinctively reached for her. She stiffened at first, then leaned into my embrace like she used to when we were kids. I'm scared, Viv, she whispered. I don't want to die. You're not going to. I held her tighter. But first, we need to deal with Mom. Are you with me? She pulled back, wiping her eyes. What's the plan? Tomorrow, after the social services visit, we're going to pay Mother Dearest a surprise visit. It's time she faced the consequences of her games. Melanie's phone lit up with a text from Mom. Did it work? Is she suffering yet? We looked at each other, and for the first time in years, I saw my little sister again. Not the angry woman who'd tried to destroy me, but the girl who used to have my back against the world. Let's take her down, Melanie said firmly. Roberto sat at my kitchen table, flipping through files while Luca, my lawyer, watched him like a hawk. Kirk and Aurora were upstairs with Deborah, supposedly doing homework, but I knew they were worried. Kids always know when something's wrong. These allegations are serious, Roberto said, adjusting his glasses. Multiple reports of substance abuse, neglect. All false, Luca interrupted, and we can prove it. How convenient that these accusations surface right after my sister's kidney disease diagnosis, I added, sliding Melanie's medical records across the table. Records that show our mother refused to be her caregiver. Roberto studied the papers. I don't see the connection. My mother orchestrated this smear campaign. She manipulated my sick sister into attacking me because she didn't want to take responsibility for Melanie's care. A small voice came from the stairs. Is Aunt Mel sick? We all turned to see Aurora, clutching her stuffed rabbit. My heart squeezed. Baby, you should be upstairs, I said softly. Is that why she's being mean to you? Because she's sick? Roberto watched this exchange intently. I lifted Aurora onto my lap, breathing in her sweet shampoo scent. Sometimes when people are hurting, they hurt others too, but that doesn't make it right. Can we make her better? I'm going to try, sweetheart. I looked at Roberto. That's who I am. A mother who teaches her children compassion, even when it's hard. Does that sound like the monster in those reports? He closed his folder. I'd like to speak with the children, separately. An hour later, after Roberto left with a notably softer expression, I found a text from Melanie. Mom wants to meet, says she can explain everything. It's a trap, Luca warned, packing up his briefcase. Of course it is. I grabbed my keys. That's counting on it. I picked up Melanie from her apartment. She looked worse than yesterday, dark circles under her eyes. You should be resting, I said as she buckled in. Not until we finish this. She held up her phone. I recorded every conversation with Mom about the posts. Everything. Mom's house looked exactly as I remembered. Pristine lawn, perfect flowers, facade of suburban tranquility. Inside, probably still smelled like gin and regret. She opened the door wearing her church smile. My girls, finally together again. Save it, I pushed past her. We know what you did. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. She headed for her drink cart, predictable as ever. The lies, Melanie said. The fake texts, using my illness to turn me against Vivian. Mom's hand trembled slightly as she poured her gin. I was trying to help you. By destroying my life, I stepped closer, by risking my children being taken away. You abandoned your sister. No, you kept us apart. Melanie's voice cracked. Show her, Viv. I pulled out my phone, playing the recording Melanie had sent me. Mum's voice, clear as day, dictating the cruel lies to post about me. Mum's face hardened. You recorded me? I recorded everything. Melanie sank onto the couch, exhausted. Every manipulation, every lie. I did it for you, Mom insisted. Vivienne had everything while you were suffering. I could have been her donor, I shouted. I could have saved her. But you couldn't let that happen, could you? Because then you'd have to help during recovery. Actually be a mother for once. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I pulled out more papers. These are from my lawyer, a restraining order against you. And this is a formal complaint to the transplant board about your interference with a potential donor. You wouldn't dare. Try me. One more post about me, one more call to social services, and these go through. Plus the recordings go public. She sank into her chair, suddenly looking old. I just wanted to control us, Melanie finished, like always. But we're done. We're going to fix what you broke, I added. I'm getting tested as a donor match tomorrow. Melanie's moving in with me during recovery. We're going to be a real family without you. You need me, Mum whispered. No, Melanie stood shakily. We really don't. Walking out of that house felt like breaking free of chains. In the car, Melanie started crying. I'm so sorry, Viv, for everything. Hey, I grabbed her hand. We're going to make this right. My phone buzzed, a text from Roberto. Investigation closed. No evidence of wrongdoing. Good luck with your sister. See, I showed Melanie the message. Everything's going to be okay. The posts, we'll deal with them together. But first, let's get you well. Driving home, I remembered something Brody used to say. Family isn't about blood, it's about who bleeds with you. Looking at my sister, I finally understood. Sometimes the deepest wounds come from those closest to us, but healing can too. Kirk and Aurora want to see you, I said softly. If you're up for it. Melanie wiped her eyes. I'd like that. Behind us, Mom's perfect house grew smaller in the rearview mirror, taking her poison with it. Ahead lay something better, something real. Blood type match. Tissue compatibility looks good. Dr. Wilson smiled over her clipboard. Preliminary tests suggest you're a viable donor for your sister. Melanie squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. We'd spent the morning in the transplant clinic, both of us pretending we weren't terrified. There are risks, Dr. Wilson continued, for both of you, and the recovery period is significant. I understand, I said. When can we schedule the surgery? A knock interrupted us. My heart stopped when I saw Mom in the doorway, clutching her designer purse like a shield. What are you doing here? Melanie's voice shook. I'm still listed as your emergency contact. Mum stepped inside. The clinic called me about the procedure. Dr. Wilson looked between us. I'll give you a moment. Get out, I stood up. You have no right. I have every right. Mom's careful facade cracked. You think you can handle this? The aftercare, the medications, the complications, while raising 2 children alone? I won't be alone, I said. I have friends, support. You have a restraining order against your own mother. Because you tried to destroy me. The words echoed in the small room. Because you couldn't stand the thought of us helping each other. Stop it, both of you. Melanie's voice was weak but firm. Mom, why are you really here? Something flickered across Mom's face. Fear, maybe even guilt. I made a mistake. Which one? I asked bitterly. The lies, the manipulation, using Melanie's illness as a weapon. All of it. Mom sank into a chair. When the clinic called, I realized what I'd done. My daughters are about to have major surgery, and I can't even be there because of my own actions. Save the performance, I said. We're done with your games. It's not a game. She opened her purse, hands trembling. Look. She pulled out papers, bank statements, insurance documents, property deeds. What is this? Melanie asked. I'm selling the house. Everything. I've set up a trust for the medical expenses, aftercare, whatever you need. Mum's voice cracked. I should have done this months ago. I stared at the documents. The numbers were substantial, enough to cover the surgery, recovery, and then some. Why now? Melanie whispered. Because I'm afraid. Mum's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide her tears. Afraid of losing both my daughters. Afraid of what I've become. You should be afraid, I said. Do you know what it felt like? Having social services question my children, losing my job, thinking my sister hated me. I know I can't fix it, but please let me try to make it right. Dr. Wilson returned, more papers in hand. We need to discuss the recovery plan. The primary caregiver needs to... I'll do it, Mom interrupted. Both of them will need help. Let me do this one thing right. I looked at Melanie. Her face was pale, but there was something like hope in her eyes. If, I said slowly, and only if, you agree to counseling. All of us. Together. And you take down every post, Melanie added. Make public apologies. Clear Vivian's name completely. Already done. Mom pulled out her phone, showing us the retraction she'd posted hours ago. I called the hospital too about your job. My throat tightened. They won't take me back. Actually, Dr. Wilson interjected, we could use a transplant recovery specialist, someone who understands both sides of the process. Once you've recovered, of course. The room blurred with tears. Melanie reached for my hand again, and after a moment's hesitation, reached for Mum's too. We have 6 weeks until the surgery, Dr. Wilson said. Time to prepare, to heal, in all ways. Later that night, after Melanie was settled in my guest room and the kids were asleep, I sat on my back porch. The same porch where I'd cried after Brody died, where I'd planned my future as a single mom, where I'd recently contemplated losing everything. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Thank you for giving me a chance to make amends. I don't deserve it. No, I typed back, you don't. But Brody always said forgiveness isn't about deserving. It's about choosing to break the cycle. He was a wise man. I should have appreciated him more. You more. I looked through my window at Melanie sleeping peacefully, then up at the stars Brody and I used to count. One day at a time, I texted Mom. That's all any of us can do. Inside, Kirk appeared in his pajamas. Mom, is Aunt Mel really going to be okay? I pulled him close. We're all going to be okay, baby. Different, maybe, but okay. Can I help take care of her after the surgery? My heart swelled. Despite everything, my children had learned compassion instead of bitterness. Maybe that was the greatest victory of all. Yes, I said, hugging him tight. We're all going to help each other now. That's what family does. What family should have been doing all along. I need you to count backward from 10, the anesthesiologist said, adjusting my IV. I looked across the pre-op room to where Melanie lay on her own gurney, already unconscious. Mom stood between us, her hands fluttering nervously from one daughter to another. 10, 9, 8. The next thing I knew, I was waking up to beeping monitors and the sharp smell of antiseptic. Everything hurt. Hey, sleepyhead, Deborah's familiar voice. Surgery went great. I tried to speak, but my throat was too dry. Mel? She's doing well. They're monitoring her kidney function closely. Mum appeared on my other side, looking like she hadn't slept in days. The doctors say everything went perfectly. You did it, sweetie. The next few days passed in a blur of pain medication, careful walks down hospital corridors, and visits from Kirk and Aurora, who treated both their mum and aunt like fragile treasures. A week after surgery, they moved us to the same room for recovery. Melanie's colour was better already, her eyes brighter. Your kidney's an overachiever, she joked weakly, just like you. Must run in the family, I managed, still sore but sitting up. You're healing faster than expected. Mom came in with 3 cups of terrible hospital coffee. She'd barely left the hospital, sleeping in uncomfortable chairs and coordinating with Deborah to care for the kids. Ladies. Roberto appeared in the doorway, looking uncomfortable in the hospital setting. I hope I'm not interrupting. Social services following up even here. I tried to laugh but winced instead. Actually, I'm here unofficially. He pulled up a chair. The posts about you have gone viral again, but differently this time. People are sharing your story. Sisters reunited through organ donation, healing from family trauma. It's inspiring others to become donors. Melanie's eyes filled with tears. Really? Several transplant centers reported increased inquiries about living donation. Your mother's public apology and explanation helped contextualize everything. Mom squeezed my hand. The hospital board meets tomorrow about your reinstatement. This publicity can't hurt. I've been thinking, I said slowly, about starting a support group for families dealing with organ donation, medical trauma, online harassment. Count me in, Melanie said. Once I'm stronger, I want to help too. A commotion in the hallway drew our attention. Kirk and Aurora burst in, followed by Deborah carrying what looked like half a party store. Surprise! Aurora held up a handmade card covered in glitter. We made Get Better Soon cards for both of you. Kirk was more reserved but equally earnest. And we learned about kidneys in science class. Did you know you only need one to live? That's so cool. Inside voice, sweetie, Mom reminded him, but she was smiling. Deborah started hanging up balloons while the kids showed us their cards. Roberto watched the scene with obvious approval. I'll make my final report today, he said quietly, recommending the case be closed permanently. You've got quite a support system here. Took us long enough to figure it out, Melanie said, reaching for my hand across the space between our beds. That evening, after everyone left and the hospital quieted, Melanie spoke into the darkness. I had a dream about Dad last night. Yeah? He was disappointed in how we let Mum tear us apart, said we were stronger together. I thought about our father, gone too soon like Brody. He always wanted us to protect each other. We failed at that pretty spectacularly. Maybe, I shifted carefully to look at her, or maybe we needed to break apart to come back stronger. Like that Japanese thing, with broken pottery and gold. Kintsugi. Brody loved that concept, making something more beautiful by repairing it. A nurse came in to check our vitals, smiling at finding us both awake. Your numbers look great. Keep this up and you'll be home soon. After she left, Melanie said, I'm scared about going home, being alone again. You won't be. You're coming to my house, remember? The kids are already planning your welcome home party. But after I recover, we'll figure it out, together this time. Mom appeared in the doorway, having obviously been listening. I've been looking at houses near Vivienne's, something smaller, where I could help out but not intrude. The old me would have rejected this instantly, but the woman lying here, missing a kidney and gaining a sister back, understood something about second chances. We'll talk about it, I said, after more counseling. Mum nodded, accepting this conditional olive branch. Get some rest, my girls. As she left, Melanie whispered, Do you think we can really do this? Be a real family? I thought about the broken pieces of us, Mom's manipulation, Dad's death, my grief over Brody, Melanie's illness, the lies and pain and fear. But I also thought about the gold filling those cracks. My children's compassion, Deborah's loyalty, the strength we'd found in forgiveness. We already are, I said, just not the family we thought we'd be. Maybe something better. The monitors beeped steadily in the darkness, 2 hearts beating, 1 kidney healing, and countless broken pieces slowly, carefully, beautifully coming together again. 3 months after the surgery, I stood before the hospital board, my hand steady despite my racing heart. Luca sat beside me, but this wasn't a legal battle anymore. It was my chance to reclaim my life. As you can see, Dr. Marshall gestured to the presentation screen, the publicity from Ms. Vivienne's story has increased our transplant center's profile significantly. Donor registrations are up 40%. That's not why I'm here, I interrupted. I'm here because I'm a good nurse, because my patients deserve someone who understands both sides of the transplant journey. Tell us about your proposed support program. One board member leaned forward. When my sister and I were going through this, we felt alone. The medical support was excellent, but the emotional support, the family dynamics, the social media harassment, there was nowhere to turn. I clicked to the next slide. This program would provide counseling, support groups, and resources for families navigating organ donation. We'd also help victims of online harassment rebuild their lives. Ambitious, another member noted, and expensive. I've secured private funding. I nodded to Mom, sitting quietly in the back. And several social workers have volunteered their time, including Roberto Gibson, who investigated my case. Roberto stood. I've witnessed firsthand how false allegations can destroy lives. This program could prevent that. The board deliberated while I waited outside. Melanie appeared, looking healthy and strong, carrying 2 coffee cups. Thought you could use this, she handed me one. The support group loved your story at today's meeting. How many showed up? 15. 3 were social media harassment victims. 2 were potential donors scared to tell their families. Dr. Marshall emerged from the boardroom. They're ready for you. Inside, the chief of surgery spoke first. We've reviewed everything. Your record, the incident reports, the proposed program. We're prepared to offer you not just reinstatement, but a promotion. Director of Transplant Patient Support Services. It's a new position, created specifically for this program. I blinked back tears. Thank you. Don't thank us yet, he smiled. You start Monday. Lot of work ahead. Outside, Mum was waiting with Kirk and Aurora. Did you get your job back? Aurora bounced excitedly. Even better, Princess. I got a new job helping people like Aunt Mel. Speaking of help, Mom said hesitantly, I found a house, 3 blocks from yours. If that's still okay. The kids cheered before I could answer. Over the past months, Mom had proven herself, attending therapy, helping with recovery, rebuilding trust one small act at a time. We'll try it, I said, one day at a time. That evening, we gathered in my backyard for a celebration. Deborah brought her famous lasagna. Roberto came with his wife, and Luca brought wine we couldn't drink yet because of medications. Remember when we used to have family dinners like this? Melanie asked quietly. Before Dad died. We're making new memories now, I squeezed her hand. Better ones. Kirk approached us shyly. Aunt Mel, would you help me with my science project? It's about organ donation. I'd love to, buddy. She ruffled his hair. But first, your mum and I have something to show everyone. We gathered everyone around my laptop where our new website was ready to launch. Second Chances, Family Healing Through Medical Crisis, read the header. It's beautiful, Mom whispered. Click the forum section, Melanie urged. Show them the messages. Hundreds of posts filled the screen. People sharing their stories of family rifts, medical crises, online harassment. More importantly, stories of healing, reconciliation, and hope. This is just the beginning, I said. We're partnering with 5 other hospitals to expand the program. And look at this. Melanie opened her phone to show a viral post. Our story, shared thousands of times. But instead of lies and accusations, it was filled with messages of support and inspiration. Mom? Aurora tugged at my sleeve. Can I tell them about my project? I nodded, and she ran inside, returning with a carefully wrapped package. Inside was a piece of pottery she'd made in art class, deliberately broken and repaired with gold-painted lines. It's kintsugi, she explained proudly, like you and Aunt Mel, broken but better now. Melanie started crying, which made Mum cry, which made Deborah pretend she wasn't crying. To Second Chances, Luca raised his water glass, and to families who find their way back to each other. To Kidney Sisters, Melanie added with a watery laugh. To healing, Mom said softly. I looked around at my expanded family, not perfect, still healing, but stronger in our broken places. The fairy lights twinkled overhead, and somewhere I felt Brody smiling. To all of it, I said, the breaks and the healing, the truth and the reconciliation, the family we lost and the family we found. As everyone clinked glasses, Aurora placed her pottery creation in the center of the table. A broken bowl made whole again, its golden seams catching the light like promises kept, like hope restored, like love that survives even the deepest wounds. "Ready to change some lives?" Melanie asked. I looked at my sister, my mother, my children, my friends. We already have. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee from the hospital's outdoor cafe, where I sat with Roberto, reviewing our latest case files. 5 more families enrolled in the program this week, he said, sliding over a folder. 2 dealing with transplant issues, 3 with online harassment. Any as dramatic as my family? He smiled. Thankfully, no. But they all need help. My phone buzzed, a text from Melanie. "Turn on the news now." I pulled up the live stream on my tablet, just as my sister appeared before a congressional committee, her voice strong and clear. "Social media harassment destroys lives," she was saying. "My own actions nearly cost my sister her children, her career, everything she'd worked for. We need stronger laws protecting people from digital abuse." Roberto watched with me. "She's come a long way from posting those lies. We all have." I gestured to the hospital's new transplant support wing behind us, where Mom was leading a family counseling session. Through the window, I could see her gentle smile, her patient nods, a different woman from the manipulator who'd torn us apart. "Vivienne," a familiar voice made me turn. Mrs. Peterson, my former patient, stood there beaming. "I hoped I'd find you here. My daughter needs a kidney, and after reading your story..." "Sit," I pulled out a chair. "Tell me everything." As she spoke, I noticed Kirk and Aurora arriving with Deborah for their after-school volunteer shift. At 13 and 11 now, they spent their free time helping in the children's ward, sharing their experience as a transplant family. "Mom," Aurora ran over. "Guess what? My anti-bullying presentation got chosen for the school assembly." "That's wonderful, sweetheart. Mrs. Peterson, these are my children, living proof that families can survive anything together." My phone buzzed again. Melanie had finished her testimony. "Legislation passed. Coming home to celebrate." The celebration ended up at Brody's bench in the park near our homes. We'd restored it after Mom moved to the neighborhood, making it our family's gathering spot. The plaque now read, "In memory of Brody, where broken hearts learn to heal." "I wish Dad could see this," Melanie said, sitting between Mom and me. "All of us together, helping others." "He can," Mom squeezed her hand, "just like Brody can." Speaking of helping others, I pulled out some papers. "Remember that house next to mine, the one that went up for sale?" Melanie's eyes widened. "You didn't." "We did. Mom and I bought it together. It's going to be our first Second Chances transitional home, for families going through medical crises or rebuilding after online harassment." "Like a safe house?" Kirk asked. "Exactly. Somewhere people can heal, physically and emotionally. With built-in support right next door," Mom added. "Plus, the hospital programs, counseling." Deborah arrived with a cake decorated with a golden kidney design. "Celebrating another milestone." "Several," I laughed. "Melanie's testimony, the new safe house, Aurora's presentation." "And this," Melanie pulled out her phone, showing us her latest viral post. But this one was different. It was the story of her lies, her illness, our healing, and the thousands of lives we'd touched since. The comments section overflowed with support. "Your program saved my family. Finally told my brother I'll be his donor. Thank you for showing us that redemption is possible." "Remember when we thought social media would destroy us?" I asked Melanie. "Now it's how we save others." She hugged me carefully, still mindful of our scars, though they'd long since healed. Aurora placed her latest art project on the bench, another kintsugi piece, this one a heart with golden seams. "For the safe house," she said, "so people know broken things can be beautiful." Mom wiped her eyes. "When did our children get so wise?" "They learned from experience," I said. "We all did." As the sun set, casting golden light across our gathering, I thought about the journey that brought us here, The lies that nearly destroyed us had become truth that helped others. The sister who tried to ruin me now fought to protect others from the same mistakes. The mother who manipulated us had learned to support instead. Penny for your thoughts, Melanie nudged me. Just thinking about karma. How sometimes the worst things lead to the best changes. Deep thoughts for a kidney sister, she teased. Speaking of karma, Mom called from the bench, your next support group is waiting. Through the twilight, I could see them gathering, families bearing invisible scars, seeking the healing we'd found. They carried their broken pieces, ready to learn about golden seams. Ready? I asked Melanie. She looked at our family, Mom arranging refreshments, the kids setting up chairs, Deborah hanging fairy lights in the trees, and smiled. Together, she said, taking my hand. We walked toward our waiting group, whole in our brokenness, stronger in our healing, ready to show others the way home. Behind us, Aurora's golden heart caught the last rays of sun, shining like a beacon of hope, a promise that even the deepest wounds could become the most beautiful scars.